We just left Cardiff and are on the way to North Wales, where we're going to see what Snowdonia has to offer.
We will be based in Snowdonia in a little town called Beddgelert, and we plan to visit the Snowdon summit, Portmeirion, and let's see what else we happen to run into. Hi everyone, if you're new here, welcome. We're Rico and Alex. We're a travel couple based out of Nashville, Tennessee. We've been married since 2017 and have since made it a priority to see as much of the world as we can despite having a regular 9 to 5.
We started this channel to share the very best from our travel adventures, hoping to inspire you to take the leap and have some amazing adventures of your own. So like this video and subscribe to our channel to keep up with where we're off to next. Now let's talk about our incredible time in North Wales. Snowdonia is a stunning region in North Wales defined by its dramatic mountain peaks, deep glacial valleys, and rich cultural heritage. It is home to Mount Snowdon, the highest point in Wales, and the perfect activity for hikers or anyone in search of an incredible view.
First things first, you can't have a trip to North Wales and Snowdonia without going to Mount Snowdon, also known as Llanrwst. And there are several paths that you can take up to the peak of Mount Snowdon, but if you would like to save some time or your legs, you can take the Snowdon Mountain Railway, which is what we did.
Yeah, so typically, like you said, there's several paths you can take, but most of them are going to take most of your day to get up to the top and to get back down. And while we do like hiking, there was so much we wanted to see in the Snowdonia area that we decided to take the mountain railway, which was totally worth it in my opinion. It was great.
Yeah, it offered some great views along the way. It was really funny because when we took it, it was a little bit overcast that day, very cloudy. Today is Snowdon Day, where we're taking a tram up to the very top of Snowdon.
We can make this video now that Rico's had some food in his intake.
We had to get some breakfast. Some breakfast sandwiches on the way. So when we were climbing up, I thought to myself, I don't know if this is going to be worth it when we get up there. I don't know if we're going to be able to see anything. But as we kept moving on up, we made our way past the clouds and we could see some sunlight shining through and we could see the mountain peaks over the clouds. It was a really crazy sight to behold. It was
stunning. It was beautiful. And that meteorological phenomenon that kind of made it look like we were above the clouds, which I feel like we mention in like all the time. We couldn't stop talking about it. And when we tell people about Mount Snowdon, all we say is like we were like literally above the clouds.
Yeah.
It's called a cloud inversion, and
it's not always, this is not what it always looks like in Mount Snowdon. Sometimes you'll just have a clear view of all the peaks and all the valleys, and that's beautiful. Sometimes it will be a little bit cloudy and you might not have as much of a view, and sometimes you will have this cloud inversion taking place. So I'm sure there are some meteorological patterns you can follow to plan your trip and make sure it's taking place while you're there. We just happened to luck out and have that happen while we were there. So that was really awesome.
It was awesome. And the railway that we took up, it was really steep. So when you're heading up, it feels like you're getting kind of pushed to the bottom of the train. And then when you're heading down, I mean, everything of course is totally safe and all of that, but it was definitely the steepest train I've ever been on.
Yeah, it was fun. It was about an hour up and then they let you roam around the point for about 30 minutes and then it's an hour back down.
There are also some other options that we heard people discussing, such as walking or climbing to the top of the mountain and taking the railway down, or taking the railway up to the top and then walking down. Those are some things that you can explore when you buy your ticket.
We're here in Llanrwst. We just got back from Llanrwst or Snowdon.
We actually took a train up to the top of Mount Snowdon and we got to check out the summit and walk around.
And how that works is a 1 hour ride up, and then you get 30 minutes at the summit, and it's an hour ride back down. So would you recommend it? What do you think?
So I would recommend it. We also saw people hiking, and hiking the trails, there's lots of different trails you can take. The one we were looking at that's most popular was going to take us about 7 hours round trip.
Yeah, about a full day.
And while that sounds fun, we also wanted to check out a lot of other things in the area, so we decided to do the the train up, and I would highly recommend. It's great for like accessibility. There were lots of people with children on the train. It was a really cool ride.
Yeah, and you'll see in the video that it was very misty on the way up, so I was thinking, oh no, we're gonna get up there, we're not gonna be able to see anything.
And sometimes that is the case.
Sometimes that's the case, and you know, that's the day you get is the day you get. But once we got up there, it was bright, it was sunny, and we were able to see everything. I mean, it was beautiful. Once we got here, we stopped at a little cafe. There's several little restaurants available. Just make sure you book your tickets in advance if you're taking the tram up, because those do fill up. And once you're booking your tickets, once you're here, you can actually let them know if you want to hike back down or if you're taking the tram back down. So you can do best of both worlds if you want to do it that way.
Yeah, we didn't know that was an option, but next time we might check it out. There's like a little cafe with restrooms at the top. So like I mentioned with accessibility, if you had anybody with accessibility issues, they would be able to experience the view from the cafe that had full windows of the summit. So that was very unique for an experience like this, to have full accessibility for that.
We would definitely do it again, but for now we've got more to do. The next thing you should do while you're in North Wales is Bodnant Garden.
Bodnant Garden is a National Trust property near Conwy. It spans 80 acres of hillside, and it includes plants from all around the world.
It includes some cascading waterfalls and very impressive trees.
We saw some really great autumn leaves here.
We did see some really great autumn leaves here, and there is a 55-meter long arch with like leaves and vines around it. So it was very it was a great Instagram kind of spot.
It just felt like every corner that you turned there was some sort of beautiful little secret spot to see, whether it was a different view of a waterfall or the perfect autumn leaves. Hey, doesn't this look like the god of partying or whatever? I mean, look at his grapes and look at his party stuff.
Dionysus?
Doesn't it?
No name?
No name. And Bodnant Gardens is great because you can spend 2 hours there or you can spend 6 hours there. You can kind of choose your own adventure with the different paths that you take and the different gardens that you explore.
Again, it's 80 acres, so it is huge. They gave us a map right at the entryway, and it showed you the different paths we could take. We talked to someone at the front who recommended that we take the blue path and suggested a couple of extra stops along the way. So we did that, and while we were looking at the map, we were looking for any other key spots that we wanted to make sure we hit up before we left. But this was a great day for us. I mean, we had really great weather to just be out there and explore, see all the birds and listen for all the birds. And
I'm really into birds.
Yeah.
I'm really into birds. I like seeing the different ones. I like hearing a bird song and then finding it. I know we saw a special kind of robin, but it was like the UK version, so it looked totally different than the ones we have here.
Yeah, it was their robin that's over there. There's also a cafe over there. We were definitely hungry by the time we got there, and that's where I tried my first rare bit, which is basically a variation of like a cheese on toast with some bacon.
And I got a quiche. Quiche was great. Everything was like heated up and warm, and the cafe itself was really pretty with windows all around.
Next, we made a pit stop over at Llanrwst.
This was a pit stop between Bodnant Garden and Beddgelert, where we were staying.
So we were on our way to Beddgelert from the Bodnant Gardens, and we came across this little town called Llanrwst, just a few minutes away from Betsy Coed, and it's pretty interesting. We decided to park here because we saw a couple neat things. So
yeah, there's a very picturesque bridge that is in a lot of pictures of Northern Wales little towns. So we stopped to grab a photo of that. And then there's also a beautiful tea room that sells things for takeaway, and you can also have tea there, but the whole outside is covered in vines and red leaves, and it's beautiful.
And then right behind us, for anyone that's seen Brave, it's very reminiscent of that movie. It's it's a replica of an ancient stone circle built in 1951. Here in the middle
was
of the
built
town.
in 1951. The ancient stone circle is much older than
From
that.
ancient times.
Yes. Yeah. So it's a replica of that. It's pretty cool. Are you gonna go in the middle or?
Yeah, I'll go in the middle. But no, pretty cool area to just walk around. There's a couple of shops and restaurants around here too. So if you're in the area and need to make a pit stop, recommend. And as we were driving back to Beddgelert, we stopped at the A498 Lookout Car Park. This is where you could see Mount Snowdon and several of the main mountain peaks in Snowdonia. And we hit it right at golden hour, right at sunset, and it looked really amazing. So bookmark that on your maps and make sure you stop by. There was like a little map right at the car park that showed you each of the mountains and their names.
North Wales and also in Scotland, which is our next stop. As you're driving along these windy roads, there are some different areas where you can kind of pull off and park and get out, and they're just like lookout spots, and every single one of those that we pulled off at was gorgeous, and it's just like on the side of the road for you to go take pictures in. And so if you're driving, make sure you leave a little bit of extra time, a little bit of extra daylight, so you can like just take your time getting from place to place.
Yeah, there's some really cool spots to see where there's like a lake or different mountains or just various viewpoints. Very, very cool. So we have to talk about where we stayed, which was Beddgelert, and I think this is a must-see whether you're staying here or not.
It was a really charming, quiet village in the Snowdonia area of Gwynedd. If you're a Disney person, it kind of reminded me of Belle's Village. It was just very charming and quiet, and stone houses and like a bubbling brook and a bridge. But they also took Apple Pay everywhere. It was lovely and picturesque and charming, but also with modern conveniences.
Yeah, Beddgelert was great. It's also known for its beautiful setting. It's right at the junction of two rivers, the River Glaslyn and the Afan Colwyn, and the surrounding mountains. It's really so picturesque, and you could spend hours just admiring the scenery, and taking a little walk. It's taking a lot of little walks all around Beddgelert.
Yeah, you can walk to basically you can walk the whole town.
Yeah.
It's all very close by. All of the restaurants, all of the little shops, everything's close. Beddgelert translates to Gelert's grave, so it's named after Gelert, a most faithful hound to Llewellyn the Great and his family.
So while you're in Beddgelert, you got to make sure you check out Gelert's gravesite.
Yeah, so you just take a footbridge and a quick path around like a really nice babbling creek, and off of that you'll find the Gelert's grave little path.
It's just a very pretty walk too. I mean, you're surrounded by mountains.
We already decided we're going to come back tomorrow and do this walk again. Maybe not Gelert's grave because it's a bummer of a story. Legend has it that one day Prince Llewellyn went out for a hunt and left his baby in the care of his dog Gelert. When Llewellyn returned from his hunt, he found Gelert with his mouth covered in blood. Prince Llewellyn was shocked, and he feared that Gelert had killed his baby boy after frantically searching for him. He searched and searched, but there was no sign of his baby. Mad with grief, he took his sword and he plunged it into Gelert's heart. As Gelert cried out, Llewellyn heard the cries of a baby coming from the overturned cradle and found a dead wolf beside the child in the nearby rubble. Gelert was a hero who had killed the wolf in order to save Llewellyn's son. Llewellyn was so struck with remorse and buried Gelert where everyone could see the grave and pay their respects. It is also said that he never smiled again. Okay, so that's the story. Prince Llewellyn is said to never have smiled again, and neither will we after hearing that story because it's so sad. Gelert was the most loyal companion, protected his baby, which, first of all, why are you going hunting, leaving your baby alone with your dog anyway? An infant? I don't know, but I don't know. If you're a dog owner or a pet owner, I can't imagine.
But it is important to know. Some people think it's just a story, just like legend or a myth. And
other people think it's not.
You mean you?
No, other people think it's rooted in something.
Yeah, that's true. It's rooted in something. What a tragic story. This was when we were researching what to do in Wales. We stumbled upon this story, and it's very upsetting.
It's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
But the walk to see Gelert's grave and Gelert's statue is very beautiful, but it is also very sad.
It's a short walk, and you can see his grave there under a really beautiful tree. Steps past that, there are the remains of, I don't know if it's a home, and there's a little statue of Gelert dedicated to him in there as well.
There he is.
There he is, protecting his home.
Wow, he's big. I guess if he took on a wolf, he would be big.
Yeah.
Now, like we said, some people say this story is real. Other people say this story was created so that people would come and see Beddgelert's statue, or see Gelert's statue, to visit the town.
To help drive tourism.
Yes.
But it said, I mean, the story even moved the queen at the time so much that she had to come and visit. Make sure you go by and pay your respects to the faithful, the good dog, Gelert, while you're there. Again, this is a legend, so we don't know exactly how much truth there is to the story.
Right.
But still a sad one.
But we would still pay our respects for him.
Yeah. Some restaurants that we recommend in Beddgelert if you're stopping by. My favorite was Bistro Habag. They feature fresh local cuisine inside what felt like a cozy little cabin. And we didn't make it this time, but what looked really good for next time is Glassland's ice cream parlor and pizza.
Yeah, this looked really good. Unfortunately, we didn't have time to make it there because we stayed in an Airbnb and this place had a kitchen, so we were able to actually make some of our own meals, which was a nice change of pace as well. The Airbnb was within walking distance to everything, and it had parking, which are all things that you should look for if you're going to stay in an Airbnb in one of these towns. Make sure you can get there via walking, because having to drive everywhere, especially in the dark, in these windy roads, it's not my favorite thing. So the driving in Snowdonia, it's definitely doable.
Yeah.
It's definitely doable, but you need to just take your time, go at your own pace.
Just because it says 60 miles per hour does not mean you should go 60 miles per hour.
These are very, very windy hairpin turns. Ricardo did great driving. It could not have been me. It's actually really hard to be a passenger, I will say.
Yeah, you did good being a passenger.
If you drive a stick shift car in America or wherever you live, feel free to get a rental that is manual. However, if you're used to driving an automatic car and you're going to be driving a car in the UK, we would highly recommend getting an automatic car, even though it's a little bit more expensive and it may be a little bit of a larger car. It just takes some of the guesswork out of driving, because you're using your brain for navigating these windy roads versus using your brain to like think about changing gears all the time.
Yeah, it's one less thing to worry about.
Oh, and the gear shift's on the other side.
And it would be on your left. While you're in Beddgelert, if you have time, hike the Dinas Emrys Trail. So when you wander through this enchanting place, you're following in the footsteps of the young Merlin to the place where the legend of the Welsh Red Dragon was born. Legend has it that King Vortigern chose Dinas Emrys to build a fortress, but the walls kept mysteriously collapsing. Seeking a solution, he consulted prophets who advised sacrificing a boy named Merlin. But Merlin, through his supernatural powers, revealed that two dragons were fighting in a hidden pool beneath the site. The red dragon, symbolizing the Welsh, fought and defeated the white dragon, which represented the Saxons. The king went on to build his fortress successfully, and the red dragon remains a national symbol of Wales today. So pretty significant story of the history of the red dragon that we all know from the iconic Welsh flag. So we really wanted to hike the Dinas Emrys Trail, however we just ran out of time and daylight to get out there and do it.
While we were in Beddgelert, we wanted to take some cues from the locals and just slow down, take some time to walk around, sit on a bench, kind of just take in the surroundings. So that's what we did. And that's what we would recommend doing. If you're staying in or around Snowdonia, just take some time to sit and look at the beauty that's all around you.
Yeah, I was going to say that goes for anywhere in Snowdonia and North Wales. It's a different pace than, your bigger cities, that's for sure.
Another place that we visited in the Snowdonia area was actually recommended to us by my grandmother, who visited North Wales some years ago and visited this place that was just kind of quirky and just one of a kind, and that is Portmeirion Village.
We're in Portmeirion.
Portmeirion.
in northern Wales, just 20 minutes away from where we're staying over in Beddgelert.
Yeah, and it's really, really cool. It is an Italian-inspired little tiny town. What is it?
Yeah, it's Portmeirion was built by Welsh architect Sir Clo Williams Ellis to show how a beautiful site could be developed without spoiling it. His motto was cherish the past, adorn the present, and construct for the future.
All of these buildings are built kind of into the landscape instead of like flattening the land and developing kind of like we do now. So
really showing how the landscape and nature could enhance the development, the environment that you're creating.
Yeah, and it's really cool. There's lots of really neat details where he also used nature in designing the buildings. Like some of them have like shells stuck in the walls or stuck in the ceiling, or they've used different materials from nature to like be stencils on the design of the building. So it's really, really neat.
And there's several flowers, plants, trees throughout the entire town, which with the exception for a hotel, no one lives here. No one is really staying the night here other than those that are staying at the hotel at Portmeirion. Yeah, known as a folly village because it was created as a visionary project rather than a traditional settlement where people would live and reside in.
It featured really colorful Mediterranean-inspired architecture, vibrant woodland gardens. It had like a giant chessboard.
These trees were like shaped out of a Dr. Seuss book.
Dr. Seuss trees and then sculptures. It really did feel like you were living in a fairy tale book.
Yeah.
Like it felt like a mix between Alice in Wonderland and The Little Mermaid and Hercules and all of these stories that you've heard. It was just so magical. And it's located right along like an inlet. Well, it looks like you're on the Italian Amalfi Coast or something.
It was right on the sea, so we could take a little walk from up the Portmeirion village and walk along the shoreline as well. And it also added to just like the views and the backdrop of the village.
Portmeirion also is known as the filming location for the 1960s television series The Prisoner. So if you've ever seen that series, you will recognize this village. And also, if you haven't seen the series, you can visit the gift shop that is centered around the Prisoner television series. They're showing clips and then there's lots of merch from the show.
Yeah. There's little shops, little cafes, different walking paths that you can take while you're here. You could easily spend at least half a day here just walking around and paying attention to all the little details in the architecture and just everything that there is to see.
There's also free parking.
There's also free parking.
Points for free parking.
There is a fee for admission, but
yeah, there is a fee for admission.
You could either buy your entry for the village itself and it would grant you with 2 hours to go and explore the grounds, or you could make a dinner reservation or a tea reservation and that would include your entry into the grounds as well. So we ended up going and having afternoon tea.
I mean, if you've ever had high tea, you know it is a full meal. You need to prepare yourself because you will be so full by the end, and everything we tried was good.
And if you haven't had it, so you basically get to select from a wide variety of teas that they have available.
And you get your own teapot to refill your cup as much as you want.
You share a tower of snacks, like little finger sandwiches and scones with clotted cream and butter, and little desserts too.
Yeah, sweet and savory.
What were your favorites of the high tea?
They had a lot of different teas. I'm not much of a tea person, so I think next time I would get a different tea.
But you've gotten like a fruity.
It was called Granny's Garden. It was like blackberry, raspberry, elderberry, like all these different berries. But because we had so many sweets on our tray, I think the tea was a little bit too sweet. Yeah, I would have like more of a plain tea that can go with more things.
Well, we really like the black tea that I got.
My favorite thing that we ate, they had all these different desserts and all these different finger sandwiches, but at the end, I saved the best for last, I think. It was like a little ball version of tiramisu. It was like a bite-sized couple bite-sized tiramisu. And it was mascarpone cream, ladyfingers,
with like a hard chocolate shell.
A hard chocolate shell, and then like a dark chocolate ganache. It was so good.
With gold foil.
With gold foil, yes. Yeah,
fancy.
that was my favorite. What about you?
I really enjoyed the salmon finger sandwich. That was very good. And there was like a sausage.
Yeah, sausage roll. And like scones with clotted cream is also hard to beat, because we've had scones in America, but they are not the same.
Yes.
And it's really hard to find clotted cream in America as well.
Yeah, if you're in the UK, not just Wales, anywhere in the UK, make sure you try some clotted cream, some scones.
And I thought this was one of the best meals that we had during our time in the UK. I mean, tea was awesome.
Tea was wonderful. It was in this room that overlooked the sea. It had windows all around. It was one of the most beautiful places I've ever had a meal. Ever.
It was my first time having high tea.
Yeah. What do you think of high tea?
Oh, it was a lot of fun.
Are you sad we waited till like day 4 to have high tea?
I am, but we still have many more days to try high tea here.
Yeah.
So,
we still need to fit in a couple, maybe 1 or 2 more high tea, and then we're also going to like Hot Chocolate Land in Edinburgh.
So make sure you subscribe so you can keep up with our adventures in Edinburgh and what we're checking out over there.
It's just such a different vibe from the rest of Wales that we've seen so far. Also, it was really cool to come to Portmeirion because my grandma came here several years ago.
Like 25 years ago?
Yes.
At least.
And she told us about how neat it was and all these different things to check out here. So it was really cool to come here knowing that she had also visited.
Yeah, and we had looked at her scrapbook before, and it was really fun to see a lot of the buildings that really, they look exactly the same as they did that long ago. And to know that, she was here and now we're here checking everything out. So we can't wait to show her our pictures and tell her about it.
North Wales was a purely magical place that we hope to visit again. Mount Snowdon is incredible and definitely a must-see for everybody.
And we know we didn't get to do everything there is to do in North Wales, so let us know what some of your favorite things to do in North Wales are in the comments below.
Yeah, or some things that you're looking forward to when you go.
Like high tea.
Like high tea, that's right. Up next, we're headed to Scotland, so subscribe to keep up with us there, and like this video if you made it this far.
See you next time. Thanks. Bye. Yeah, and high tea. Oh, there's a plane.
Our mics will probably won't catch that.
Just tried these. What would you rate them?
They're like a solid 8 out of 10.
Yeah, 8 out of 10, honestly. And I don't even like the mini hot dogs, so pretty good.